I'm Dan Hernandez. I'd like to welcome you to this week's episode of Sport Fishing. So today we're back aboard the Ranger 85. We're fishing Santa Rosa Island. We're bottom fishing right now. And first drop of the day, and I think I got one already. So this will be the plan for today. We're going to be drifting in here close to the island, looking for rockfish. There's a fish there. Yeah, here I got one here. Yeah. Little rockfish. So this is what we're going to be doing today, fishing aboard the Ranger 85, looking for rockfish like this, some reds, other kinds of rockfish, just drifting along the bottom. So stay tuned for this week's exciting episode of Sport Fishing.
Welcome to Sport Fishing with Dan Hernandez.
Just fishing 2 bucktails on a little dropper loops as my rig. You could just go with straight hooks, but I like having the bucktails. That way they kind of work like large shrimp flies in case I lose my bait. It can still get bit. Here comes my fish here. Oh, blue bass. Little rockfish we're trying to catch here. Ooh, whitefish.
You entered the jackpot, didn't you?
Stare in the camera and tell them stay tuned, we'll be right back.
Stay tuned, we'll be right back.
I just switched rigs. Guys have been catching some of the lingcod on the B52 Bucktails with twin tail baits on there and other plastic baits behind it. And I switched to a 2-ounce or 4-ounce B52 Bucktail, red and white, and I put a big sluggo bait on it, just a straight slug tail. And I have a 16-ounce sinker to keep me on the bottom. Still fishing with braided line. Went to a little bit lighter braided line, 40-pound test braided line. And I got slammed right now. There it is, color. And it's not a ling. Big chucklehead. Nice chucklehead. Oh yeah, there's a red. Thanks.
Inhale that sluggo.
The bucktail. And when we pull this out, you'll see how big this bait is. And I know most people would think it's just way too big to catch fish up here, but as you can see, that fish had no problem swallowing that huge bait. That's a B52 Bucktail, sluggo bait, and a nice quality rockfish that I'm going to enjoy for dinner over the weekend. Still fishing that same rig, just fishing 2 bucktails on one line. And conditions are getting worse. We got well over 20 knot winds. We tried fishing on the anchor, couldn't get the fish to bite, so we're drifting and we're getting fish on the drift. There it is. Oh, red, nice red. Nice red. On the bucktail. Beautiful red. We're on the front side of Santa Rosa? Back side of Santa Rosa. And that's San Miguel out there. That's where we wanted to go, but these winds and conditions and stuff, we couldn't get there. Again, just fishing the bucktails. One with sardine and the other one cut squid. And this one ate the squid. All right, well, stay tuned. We'll be right back with more action aboard the Ranger 85. Thanks. This week in the Tackle Box, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about what we're doing right now, targeting rockfish. And when you're fishing for rockfish, you have 2 ways to go. Either one, use a little gangion and try to get the smaller school fish and get your 10, 15 fish, depending where you're fishing the limits are. Or you can target those big fish. And that's what I like to do. I really like to target those big reds, those big lingcod. And the way I do that is with artificial. When I'm targeting just the reds, I really like to focus using a B52 bucktail and a big rubber tail like this, a sluggo, whatever type of plastic bait you have.
And it's just a real easy bait. You just slide on, and this is really simple to do. And it gives you nice big action. Looks like a huge bait, and it is, but for those big reds, it's not a problem. They'll hit that. And if you don't want to put this on, you can use a whole squid, but normally this works out really good. And when you have this like this, you don't have to put anything else on it. Don't have to strip it with a strip of squid or a whole squid. This will work fine. Just let it go all the way down the bottom, bounce it up and down, let it flutter in the current. The bucktail action will flutter, the tail will flutter, and the big reds, for some reason, love these big baits like this. If you're not sure what the B52 Bucktail looks like in your store, this is the packaging. You can find it at your local sporting goods store, or you can find it on our website. Now for the lingcod, I'll also use a B52 Bucktail, but the number one way for me to get lingcod is to use a metal jig. And I like to use either the macro pattern or the chrome pattern, or you can use a glow in the dark too for the Magic Metal 8 or 10 ounce model. This is an 8 ounce here, but 10 ounce works really good. When you get into like 300 feet of water, probably want to go 10 ounce. And the way I fish this is to let it go all the way down to the bottom, and when it hits the bottom, grind it in as fast as you can, about 2-3 cranks. You just want this thing to fly up off the bottom and act like it's trying to get away from the lingcod. Lingcod are very aggressive, and they'll go chase it. If you don't get bit as you're winding it up, you'll get bit as you let it flutter back down. You know, it might sound kind of weird. You're down 300 feet. Why do I want to work that jig so fast? It's just because these fish are very, very aggressive. If they think that bait's trying to get away from them, they're going to chase it. They may not even be hungry, but because it's fleeing like that, and lingcod are such predator fish, they'll go chase it down and kill it and eat it. So this is what I like to use. And again, this is what the Magic Metals look like in your local store. These are techniques I like to use when I'm targeting big rockfish. Doesn't matter where you're fishing, this technique will work. Well, let's get back on the water and show you more exciting action right here on Sport Fishing. The Ranger 85 is a large sport fisher that operates both out of the Channel Islands and down in San Diego during the summer months. It's a very large sport fisher, has a big galley, plenty of room for all the anglers inside, and a huge bunk room too. And on the decks you'll find some of the largest bait tanks out of any sport boat in California. And in the wheelhouse you'll find all the modern electronics for fish finding, navigation, and communications. For your next fishing trip, make sure you book a trip for the Ranger 85.
I have your line.
Just made it down to the bottom, and I got nailed hard. First it felt like a ling, but now I think it might be a chucklehead or something. It's not shaking its head like it first did. So let's see what we got. Still fishing with bucktail jig. Oh, there it is right there. Yeah, it's a chuckle. There it comes. Got it on that old sardine. Nice fish there. Be good eating. Fillet that guy up and he'll be delicious. Well, let's take a little break from the action and go to the galley and show you how to cook up one of these delicious rockfish that we're catching today. This week in the galley, we're on my boat down here in Long Beach, California, and standing next to me is Chef Keith Allman. Hey Keith, thanks for coming down today.
A pleasure to be here.
I met Keith on one of our charters and came up to me, introduced himself as a chef, and I said, why don't we do a segment together? So what do you have planned for us, Keith?
Well, today I have planned using the Dan Hernandez fish batter, Japanese tempura style vegetables and rockfish. The difference between the tempura batter or the Dan Hernandez fish batter and the instructions that that are on the bag and what we're going to do today is that we're going to mix it with soda water instead of beer or water. So we have 1.5 cups or 1 bag of the Dan Hernandez fish batter, and instead of water or beer, we're going to add 1.5 cups of soda water.
Just regular soda water.
Regular soda water. Add that to the mixture, and then to keep it clumpy, we're going to use chopsticks to mix it.
So Keith, it looks really watery. Is it supposed to be this watery?
Yeah, watery and clumpy is fine. It's going to be more tempura style this way. It's going to be thinner and lighter.
Okay, cool.
So we're going to put in a couple pieces of asparagus, some Japanese eggplant, some onion, and notice I put a toothpick in here to hold the onion all together. And some rockfish. Notice how I cut the eggplant. I hold it open like that before I put it in. See how nice and thin that is? That's just right. When you're dropping ingredients into oil like this, you always want to drop away from you.
That's probably a good point.
Yeah, because when it's really hot, it's going to splash.
I can't get over how thin the coating is on this.
Wait till you see how it comes out. And I'm going to show you a trick that the Japanese use for their tempura too. Now, pick up the bowl, put a little bit, and drizzle onto your vegetables some of the batter, and it's going to add a little bit crunchiness and some fingers of crunch that kind of come off the vegetable.
But that is cooking up nice and light.
Yeah, see that? You want to have a plate ready with dry paper towels. I like to use tongs so I can shake it off a little. Serve this with traditional tempura sauce or your favorite aioli. Try a piece of that, Dan.
All right, I will. I'm gonna try the fish, some of this little rockfish. This looks so good.
Nice and light.
That is totally different. I never thought of using my fish batter to make tempura, but it works out great. And the whole trick is just use soda water.
Yeah.
A little bit of soda water mixed in with fish batter.
And don't mix it till, use a whisk, chopsticks, or a spoon.
Oh, well, thanks, Keith.
You're welcome.
That was awesome. It's a great dish. Pick up my fish batter at your local Turner store. Supermarkets have it. Order it on our online store. Remember, half the proceeds from this go to help fund my youth foundation. Well, thanks again, Keith. And let's get back on the water, show you more exciting action right here on Sport Fishing. This fish is coming up toward the surface now. It's way out there. There it is on the surface. What is it? There you go, chucklehead. There it is out there in the swell. Nice big chucklehead. So everybody, everybody always thinks that using a big sluggo bait or using a big bait down there that you're not going to catch fish. You may not catch as many fish, but that's a B52 Bucktail, 4 ounce with a huge sluggo. Nice quality fish. You saw that fish had no problem eating it. Big quality fish, nice fish. All right, we're gonna take a little break, and when we return, I'll be giving you this week's tip of the week. For this week's tip of the week, I want to talk to you a little bit about what we did today on the Ranger 85. We're out here at Santa Rosa Island. We had really bad conditions, lots of wind, a little bit of swell, but just tons of wind. At the end of the day, we had wind close to 30 knots. We had to call it a day, but most of the guys got limits. We had about half the people on the boat had limits, and about the other half were really close to limits. So we did good fishing.
But the way we caught those lingcod was fishing a bucktail jig, 4-ounce models and 2-ounce models. They either had squid strips on here or a sluggo bait like this. Worked out really good. I know it looks like a big bait, but to those lingcod it was nothing. I even caught a couple of nice big chuckleheads fishing this rig. Now, in today's conditions, this wasn't heavy enough to get to the bottom. I had to use a 16-ounce and 12-ounce sinkers to keep that bait on the bottom. It's a little unconventional to use a big bucktail with a sinker, but that's what we did today to catch a fish. That's this week's tip. Bringing something like this with you, you won't be disappointed. It worked really good. I want to thank Captain Alex aboard the Ranger 85, the whole crew, Manny and everybody, David in the galley. We had a great time fishing today out here. It was tough conditions, lots of wind like you saw today, but the fishing was really good. Well, I'm Dan Hernandez, hoping you enjoyed this week's episode of Sport Fishing, and I hope you join us again next week as we go looking for more of the best in sport fishing.